how's it going? My name is Luke, and today, in this YouTube video, if you haven't figured out from the title, or seeing this colorful ball of glass right here, I will be showing you, or giving you a tutorial on how to make your own biosphere or biodome. It can apply to both, so don't worry. If you guys are making domes, this will work for that too. And this is also one of those things, it's a lot easier. I'll point this out now. This is a lot easier. It's not as fast, but it's a lot easier than using secondary software or something like that that generates biodomes or biospheres. Excuse me. Automatically in your world, wherever you want them. Yes, it's faster, and it generates them, and they look circular and spherical, but you need to know how to do that, and this way requires none of that. Also, there are other people who use, not that this is the wrong way, or none of those are the wrong way. It all depends on how you want to do it, but doing it freehand, it's a lot more gratifying, or not gratifying, what is the word I'm looking for? ADD kicking in. What is it? It's a lot more satisfactory to you, as well as impressive to other players that you play with, that you made it all by yourself. You didn't use any program that laid out a schematic that helped you build the sphere from top to bottom, and you didn't use any software that generated it automatically. You did it all freehand. Let me change the weather here, guys. Make it a lot better for you and for me. So if you use those things, that's fine, but this way makes you feel better about yourself because you did it yourself. You didn't rely on any other programs or anything like that. Granted, if you're watching this, you're relying on me to help you out, but that's okay too, because you're still gonna do it your own way, all freehand. Now, before I let this video drag on too much longer, let's get down to it. And starting off, the first thing I'll point out to you. This is a pro tip, and that's my pro tip anyways, and I figured this out, and it seems to be pretty well accurate, is that any biosphere or dome that's over the diameter of 15 blocks, so 1, 2, yada yada yada, blocks in diameter, 15 or larger, you do a 5 across biosphere. But anything smaller than that, let's say under 15, let's just go with a random size here. Let's do this, for instance. Now, this is not a quick a minute thing, so I'm just going to lay down the first circle and point out to you little things about making biodomes or biospheres that is something that you need to know, but isn't really a necessity, but it's nice to know. As you can see, that looks circular, and that's going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 diameter. And like I said, anything smaller than that, anything smaller than 15, you do a 3 across and stuff. So there's that. But we will not be making this size biosphere because it's too small to describe to you each step thoroughly. So now that that's out of the way, let's go over the steps. There's going to be 5 steps, if I'm not mistaken. The first step is figuring out what size you can do, or what size you would like to do. And in this case, let's go with a, let's go with a 27. So counting this first block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And once you get that figured out, the step after that is building your the first main circle. And that is sort of a touch and go kind of thing. You want to make sure it looks circular and that the one side of it lines up with the other side. So that way your first build that you make, your line straight across or your line straight up and down, that once you make your first semicircle or half circle, it lines up on both sides. So let's see here. Lay this out quickly. Try not to let the video drag on too long. Make it a little bit easier for you guys and a little bit easier to follow along too, because it doesn't drag on about a whole bunch of nonsense and stuff like that. Hopefully this doesn't feel like nonsense to you guys, because I'm going to try my best to describe this to you clearly and thoroughly. And there we go, it lines up. And after you lay down that first half or semicircle, you step back and make sure it looks circular. And in this case, it actually does look fairly circular, so... Oh, crap. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Let's go up here and finish laying it out. And this is actually your second step, even though it's actually... Your second step involves laying out the entirety of this circle. This is your X circle. Then you'll have your Z circle, which is the one that goes this way. And then your Y circle, which goes this way. And that's pretty much your second step, but I'll qualify this as your laying down your first main circle as your second step, so it's easier for you guys to step through each one of these steps a lot easier. So then that means there's actually 6 steps, so sorry. Adding steps, making it harder. Nah, don't worry guys, this is actually, unlike, like I said, other programs using worldedit. Worldedit, once it's installed, it's pretty quick and easy. But this is actually, I would think, a lot faster than using a schematic-based program that actually builds the sphere for you, but doesn't really build it in your game. You have to build it yourself. It just lays out a layer by layer, a schematic or blueprint, if you will. But this way, once you figure out your size, it gets pretty easy to lay out. And so that's your second step. And I'm actually gonna just cut the video right here, and once I get the next 2 circles done, we'll go on to the next step. So I'll see you then. And there we go. Got that done for you guys, and now let's go on to the next step. And just to clarify, one thing I pointed out in the first little bit, what I mean by 5 across is on each side there's a circle. So like a small circle, it'll be 3 across, or it might even be 1 across. Or the bigger you get, the more bigger that is. So this like circle slash face, that's what I mean by how many across it is. So a 5 across sphere, that's what this is. Even though it's a 27 diameter sphere, it's a 5 across face, if you will. So that's the only thing I wanted to point out. Actually, I'll just destroy that. It's going to get filled in anyways. And then same goes for the 3 across, but sometimes the 3 across is usually just a block most of the time, and that's not very circular. But on to the fourth step, laying down what I call your inner skeletons. So this is your main skeleton. So let's lay down your so-called inner skeletons. Those will be the circles that are further in right here. And if you've just noticed right there, what I'm going to be doing is, as you get further in, your circles will get further across. So this will be a 5 across, because this is actually a 15 if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, that's a 15. I was right. Okay. But back to the thing at hand. See, as you get further in, starting here, I'll just fill this in with blue, so it's easier to catch on. This is 3 across, and the one after that is also going to be 3 across, but as you get further in, your circles get bigger. And like I said in the first pro tip, as you get bigger in your sphere, or even bigger in circles, so does the space across on each side. So like this is going to be a 5 across on this circle. And the further in you get, and the farthest in you get, that'll be even bigger than that, but we'll worry about that later. And in this step, we'll just be laying out these inner circles, and I'll also cut the video after I'm done laying this out. And, ow. Man, anyways. I'm breaking the wrong blocks here, guys. Anyways, like I pointed out earlier on, well, I don't even think I pointed this out, but the pro tip in mind that I'll give you as well is that every circle that you build that's other than your main circle have to look circular. Otherwise, it's just going to bite you later on. It's just going to be harder to lay out the circles later on when you're making this. So as you're laying out each circle, step back and look at them and make sure they look circular to you. They could, for all you know, they could look like diamond-shaped balls to other people, while they could look circular to you. They have to look circular to you, and hey, if you guys are also making a 27 diameter dome or sphere, this will help you guys out a lot, because the weather just changed again. Hold on a second, guys. Let me zip on over here. Yes, I could just type it out, but I got a button laid out already. Zip on back here. Well, the convenience of setting up buttons, so I don't have to double tap to sprint. So back to the tutorial. Dang it, the ADD is kicking in again. Short-term memory sucks. And they have to look circular. That's what I was talking about. But like I said, guys, if you are actually making a dome or sphere that's close to this size or in the area of this size, this tutorial will help you guys out a lot. But even if you're not, this will give you sort of an idea of how to do your biodome or biosphere, however big it is. And I'll cover more about that later on in the video, about certain things like that. And like I said, I'll cut the video right here once I finished this. This is your fourth step, your inner skeleton. Comes after your main skeleton, which is these 3 circles right here, here, and here. And these will be your inner skeletons. So now that I got these laid out for you, and now that you kind of get the gist of where I'm going at here, I'll stop the video right now and pick up a little bit later on. And there we go. All 6 sides are done, and let's It's almost looking like a sphere. Almost. But anyways, on to the next step here, guys. And in this case, the next step is working on what I call the central skeleton. And the reason I call it the central skeleton is because from the center of your main one of the arcs on your main skeleton. So let's say a quarter of a circle on your main skeleton. So start here and then end there. The middle of that, or the center as I like to call it. Or, yeah, like I said, the central skeleton. And now I'll cover a little bit later about going with bigger, how sometimes with bigger circles you'll end up with an even number in the middle, like I just did right here. And that'll still be your central skeleton. You'll just have two separate circles, or separate circles instead of one circle conjoined to another. And of course, as you get bigger yet, that keeps growing. Of course, if you get to this point, this first block right here, and I'll cover it later so I don't drag on this portion. So let's just get started with this portion, this step, as I like to call it, the fifth step. Oh, my neck. Anyways, and like I said, when doing this step, this circle will be a lot bigger. And there's some creepy music there. See how it's actually no longer 5 across, it's actually 7 across. Now, I know that doesn't make any sense because this 27 diameter sphere is only 5 across at each side. Well, I'll get to that as we keep going here. And why this is so much. Why am I doing it with this? We're doing it with green, guys. Matches the blue feeling. Then we'll go to yellow. I'll explain this as I go. The reason as to why you want to go with an even bigger space across for the central circle, or the central skeleton, is, well, simply put, wait a minute, I knew it, I missed something there. There we go. Is because when it's all done, you want this area where the corner will be, as I like to call it. Now we'll get to that step after we're done filling these in. The corner, you want that to bulge out for the farthest, because if it doesn't bulge out, you'll have a few issues where you'll have to revamp it and try and make it look spherical or circular. So here, let me just give you an example of what show you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let me finish laying out this, and then let's zip on over to this circle that I made earlier. And this is actually the same size as what I'm making right here, just different colored blocks. So if you look here, if I go to this angle, straight on a diagonal section, it looks circular or spherical from that angle. And the reason for that is this. If you don't do it like so, you'll end up with a more of a flat surface, if you will. Like that. Which is a lot flatter, it doesn't look good, and from this angle, it doesn't look circular. Even though this is not directly on diagonal, you want it to look circular from every angle. You don't want it to just look circular from, so like this angle, it bulges out, as you can see. It bulges out further, a little bit more, and that gives it that more spherical shape. And then, why am I even bother fixing this? Okay. Anyways. anyways, you'll just do that and call it good. So that's what you kind of want to aim for when you're doing this, or in this case, the central skeleton onwards to the so-called corners. Now, of course, on this kind, I'll just do one more arc. Actually, I'll talk to you guys and describe this to you. Because as you get bigger, your corners are going to get bigger, and that's where things start to get more difficult. But like I said, guys, at the beginning, this is still, I still consider this, even though it's slower, I still consider it to be one of the easiest things to do. The easiest way to make your biodome or biosphere in Minecraft. For many reasons. The main thing is you're making it yourself and you know what you want. And seeing as how I've done this quite a few times already, just making random biospheres and stuff, I've even done it in survival. I've learned a few tricks along the way that really make it a lot easier to do this now than what it was like back then when I first started. You know how it is when you first start playing Minecraft and all of a sudden you made this amazing thing and you think it looks good at first, and then later on you realize I could have done that a lot better. Why did I not do that better? And that is where things it doesn't get worse. It's just you're like, I could have done this a lot better, but you don't want to destroy kind of thing. And ironically enough, I have a biosphere, or not a biosphere, but a biodome just like that in one of my survival worlds that I made. At first, it looked circular/spherical, but then I realized just how awful it actually looked. And seeing as how this is actually, I'm almost done with this, it's not that hard to do. Granted, I still need to do top and bottom, but this portion is actually pretty quick. But ADD kicking in again, yay! Starting out Minecraft, everything always seems to look okay at first, and then you realize, after doing certain things like it enough times, you realize, that could look a lot better. And same thing goes with biospheres, because biospheres are a touch and go thing, unless you already know how to do it. And in this case, I do know how to do it, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this tutorial and wasting all of you people's times and stuff. When a good tutorial is always a better thing. The only tutorials I've seen out there of doing this involve using a website that generates them for you. The best one I've seen so far that actually touched on a few of these things, a few details about doing it like this, didn't really cover it even all that well either. So that's kind of why I want to make it easier for you guys and upload a video that's easy to understand and not just wasting all of you guys' and gals' time. So, let's see if I can finish this in under 5 minutes so the video doesn't get too long and too big. Why? Every time. Hit the wrong button. There we go. And sun setting. So pretty. But anyways. So yeah, it's one of those things. When I first started when I did my very own biosphere, I didn't use a program to generate it. I did it all freehand, and it looked like absolute garbage. I will admit it. It looks like absolute garbage, and it still does. But it's one of those things that it's so big, so massive. The time that I would have to put into it to make it look correct and actually spherical would just take too long, and it wouldn't be a waste of time. It would just be too much time put into it to be even worth it, since I already put a lot of man hours into making it already. But back to back to what you guys actually came here for, instead of me spieling on about how starting out in Minecraft, everyone is the same. You always make something, looks good, then it doesn't later on, because you've made it, things like it a bunch more times, you learned a few things, some tricks, some shortcuts, and now you know how to make it better, but you don't want to waste the time to fix it. Because it's not just like it's not just one of those things that you'd want to waste, because it's just going to waste time. You're wasting time putting more time into it. It's also one of those things like it's one of the first things you made, and you don't want to ruin it or make it better, because you want to look back at it and realize I used to play Minecraft like that. Wait. Yeah, that's right. What? Wait. Oh, good thing I caught that. I would have lost it. But there we go. That's all I missed right there. So finish this up, and then I'll sort of cover the next step, if you will. Considering I could have cut it instead of wasting your guys' time talking about what I was talking about there. Sorry for any of you if I wasted any of your time and stuff like that. But I had to say it because I know it's true, and it's true for everyone. Even people like Etho, watching his LP, even starting out with his first LP, he didn't know quite a few things that a lot of other people might have known, or a few other people might have known. But he figured it out, and he got better. And now that step is done, guys. And as you can see, now that it's filled in, it's already looking like a biosphere. And that's the best part, actually looking at it and realizing, hey, this looks like a biosphere. And now, instead of cutting the video and making that little portion a short one, like I should have, the weather's changing again, but cut this here quick. Crap. So, yeah. The second, well, actually, this is the last step, I would call it, even though it's actually the second to last step. But for a biosphere this size, filling in the corners is actually the easiest thing to do, because all I have to do is this, and voila, the corner is done. And that is essentially all you have to do for the corners, the so-called second to last step, which is why there's actually 7. So there's your diameter, your first circle, your main skeleton, which is 3, your inner skeleton, which is 4, your central skeleton, which is 5, your corners, which are 6, and then the last step is just filling it in. In all honesty, filling it in is the last step. That I qualify that as a step. But to make sure I don't drag this on, I'm actually going to cut the video here, fill in the corners, and start filling it in the rest of the way, and then I'll catch you guys at that point. Alright. Okay, guys, we're back, and let me finish up this last little section here, and hopefully if you guys followed along properly, I hope you guys did anyways. But if you got lost somewhere along the line, let me know. And let's see here, one more, and there we go, it's done. And like I said, guys, if you followed along properly, depending on what size you made. If you did make a sphere, the biosphere this size, good. Result should hopefully, if you followed along properly, you should have ended up with something similar to this, just not with all the colors. And filling it in, there's not much to talk about for filling it in. If you have your inner skeleton here, like on these two, you fill it in right here. You don't fill it out on this side. You fill it on that side. But I would think most of you would probably have figured that out. And then the space between your central and your inner is pretty much the easiest part, depending on, like I said, how big you went, because how big you went could determine how this was laid out too. But this one is just a continuous set of blocks, like it is right here. And anyways, that's pretty much the tutorial, guys. And as you can see, there is almost no flaws in this entire biosphere here, besides the fact of it being a super multicolored piece of art. No. It is finished, and the weather is changing again. Oh well, it's not a big deal. But anyways, as you can see, this is finished. And if you if you stick around just a little bit longer, I'll cut the video here and go to one of my kind of survival, kind of creative worlds that I'm kind of planning on making a let's play out of eventually. So if you stay tuned and pay attention, you'll be there soon. And see you there. And here we are, guys. Welcome to my first Minecraft LP. No, but like I said, guys, this is my sort of survival, sort of creative world that I've been working on, which I eventually plan on making a let's play out of. But as you can see here, guys, these are a few examples of domes and biospheres that I've built that, as you can see, look circular and look dome shaped. They don't look diamond shaped or anything weird like that. And my plans for this are hopefully dependent on how well the tutorial video here will go. Granted, this is not part of it. This is sort of an intro to my let's play, but hopefully if you guys enjoyed the let's play and it helped you guys out at all, this will soon be a thing. And I kind of want to do it and kind of want to put it up on YouTube, but yep, it'll depend on how you guys feel about my tutorial and if you enjoyed it and if it helped you out. And if you guys are having any troubles at all, like making certain portions of your dome, if you went with something this big, granted I don't even know how big this thing is, but if you went with something this big and you're having troubles like in the corners, or say filling it in between the inner skeleton and the central skeleton, just let me know. Tell me how big it is and I'll try and help you out as best I can, and we'll go from there. But should be it for the tutorial video, and hopefully you guys will see this world again sometime, and I'll be starting my Minecraft LP series, and hopefully it goes on for a decent while at least. And until then, guys, we'll hopefully see this sign again someday. But until then, I'll see you later, sign. I'll miss you. And I'll miss you guys too, but not as much. But hopefully you guys will be interested in seeing me do do this Let's Play. If you guys aren't already into a few other Minecraft videos, but again, you want to see other tutorial videos like with domes or a few more shapes if you're curious about. Granted, domes and biospheres are probably the one thing that I know how to do really good and really well. But that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves, and that'll be it for this video, and hopefully the start of this. Just let me know, guys. I'll make it happen. Alright, we'll see you around.